Hi everyone, today's art lesson is all about the stages of clay and how to glaze a sculpture. So it doesn't matter what type of sculpture you made. It could be functional, which is utilitarian, like this is a fish dish that the second graders make out of clay, and since it's in the shape of a dish, it can actually be used. So this would be utilitarian. Same thing with my teacup that I made into a flower. You can actually drink out of this. Now there's also sculptures that are just decorative, like this fish is flat. You can't really use it for anything, but it looks very nice to look at. So the first stage of clay that we use in art is a white earthenware clay. It actually looks gray, but when it comes out of the bag, the clay is very soft and you can shape it into anything you want. But once you finish making your sculpture, you let it dry and the clay will start to get hard, and then it turns leather hard and bone dry. Once your clay is bone dry, I have to fire it, which means it goes through a chemical change. No longer are these pieces actually clay, they've actually turned into stone, and they will last forever as long as you don't break them. Now, these pieces I'm actually going to glaze, and I'm going to use them as test pieces. If you're using something that you really want to use, like a teacup, we definitely want to paint these with glaze. Now, what is glaze? Glaze can be thought of as a glass coating for your sculpture. So basically, it's like a paint, a special kind of paint made just for clay. It comes in lots of different colors, and you can use any colors you want. We just try not to get glaze on the bottom because the glaze will get stuck. Now, the glaze that we use is very expensive, but it does have the name on the label, so we don't want to waste glaze. We want to think about what colors we want to paint our sculptures and make sure that we don't waste the glaze. So some of them have strange names, like Poppy Fields is supposed to be the name of the color. This one is a little bit easier to see. It looks green and it says it's Emerald Isle. So what we're going to do is it says glaze may be applied to bisque or leather hard clay. These are bisque because they've been fired. So you are supposed to shake, make sure the lid is on. We shake up the glaze because it's made up of minerals and sand. And it's kind of hard to tell the color. The color will change once it gets fired. So a lot of times the colors will show up darker or brighter. It says to apply 2 to 3 coats with a brush or a sponge. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of newspaper as my placemat. And I'm going to glaze this piece, which would be a sculpture because it's decorative. And I'm going to write the name of the glaze on the back so I can remember what the color is going to look like. So this one is going to be Emerald Isle, and this is actually a glaze pen. Now I get a cup of water and a paintbrush. There's big paintbrushes and small paintbrushes. I'm going to start, since this is a small piece, with a small brush, and you want the paintbrush to be clean and dry. And it looks like this one was not cleaned off. So I'm wiping it off and I'm squeezing out all the water so it's dry. This is really important because we don't want to mix colors of glaze. Now I'm going to take the cap off, and very carefully you dip just the bristles of your brush into the glaze, and you want it to go on very, very thick. So you can see I'm almost drizzling the glaze on so it goes inside all of those holes. Since the sculpture is 3-dimensional, you have to make sure you also paint the sides. Now that's only 1 coat. I actually want to put 2 or maybe 3. I think 2 coats should be fine, but you want the brush strokes to be even and smooth. So I'm going to let that one dry, and someone else can use the green. Okay, so you can see I kind of smudged the glaze pen. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this into a black top up here. I'm just going to spread around the glaze with my finger. So this is just an example of how to turn a mistake into something cool that you might like. All right, I'm gonna wipe off my finger. Now you can see this part is dry. It turned a very light color. So now I can draw another design on here, like if I wanted to do letters, like it is a little bit difficult to draw with a glaze pen, but if you draw really big, it's a lot easier. Okay, now I want to show you the clear glaze. Now the green glaze is dried, I only did one coat of it. There is a clear glaze that looks green, but it's just going to make the green extra shiny. So if you want a color like red to be extra shiny, or on your cup if you want that to be extra shiny, you do have to let the glaze dry first. But then you can get a clean paintbrush and dip it in the clear glaze and cover the whole piece. So since the green is mostly dry, I'm going to dip my paintbrush right in here in the clear glaze. Remember, it looks blue, but it's just going to make the green extra shiny once it gets fired. So firing cooks the glaze, it turns it into glass, and then it's waterproof and it will last forever. So that's how you glaze. Try not to get much glaze on the bottom of your piece, because after the glaze dries, it has to be fired just like the clay. Make sure you wipe off the extra glaze and wash out your paintbrushes when it's cleanup time to keep them nice and clean. And always put the lids very carefully. Make sure you turn them all the way back onto the glaze, because a couple people lift them up and the glaze spills everywhere. So have fun glazing your beautiful sculptures and your masterpieces, and I can't wait to see how awesome they look.